Well, the Jets season hasn't gone exactly as hoped. An 0-7 start to the year might signal that it's time for a fire sale with the 2025 NFL trade deadline less than 2 weeks away. For more, I'm joined by CBS NFL analysts Emory and John Breech. Guys, let's talk Breece Hall. He's not under contract past this season, so it wouldn't be so surprising if the Jets traded him instead of waiting for him to walk in free agency for nothing in return. Garrett Podell wrote an article for CBSSports.com recently highlighting top potential landing spots for Hall, naming the Chiefs, Chargers, Cardinals, Steelers, and Texans. Let's start with Kansas City. Emory, what about the Chiefs would be a good fit for the Jets running back?
Well, the fact that they can add explosiveness in the backfield, it would give them something that they had with a younger version of Kareem Hunt, someone that you really had to game plan for and really had to focus on to key on to lock down their run game and opened up everything for the passing attack. But they don't have that right now. They have a banger in, the older version of Kareem Hunt, but, they still have Pacheco, but they don't have a guy that can legitimately hit the home run from the backfield. That's what Breece Hall will provide.
Yeah, and when you look at the Chiefs' offense right now with Isaiah Pacheco in there slotted as the starter, I really feel like Andy Reid wants more out of the starting running back spot. He's complacent with what he has because it's working. It's kind of a Band-Aid on things. But if there was a way for the Chiefs to upgrade at not too of an expensive of a price, I think that Reid would be more than happy to do it. I mean, you look at Pacheco's stats this year. He's averaging just 38.7 rush yards per game. He has not topped 60 yards in a single game this season. And when you talk about the Chiefs' passing game, you would like to see a running back contribute a little bit, but Pacheco really hasn't been a great weapon out of the backfield at all. I don't think he's topped one catch in any game. He hasn't had 2 receptions in a single game this year. So if there is a chance to upgrade for the Chiefs, I do think they should take it because this offense is looking better every week, and that feels like it could be the final piece of the puzzle that's missing.
Right. Now, the Chiefs would be the sexy destination, right? They were the Super Bowl runner-up last season. They're in the midst of building a potential dynasty. But, Breech, I know the Chargers are a team that you see as a top fit for him. They could definitely use a running back after Najee Harris and Emory Hampton have gone down with injury. But what makes the Chargers your best fit for Hall?
Well, when I look at Jim Harbaugh as a head coach, one thing he loves to do is run the football. He is an old school guy. He drinks milk. He wears Dockers. That's how Jim Harbaugh rolls. And when he got hired in January 2024, he kind of emphasized the fact that he did want to run the ball. You look at last season, they brought in J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards. Both those guys got banged up, so they never really got that rushing attack going. You look at this past offseason, they went out and signed Najee Harris. They went out and drafted Emory Hampton. Now both of those guys are injured. They cannot find someone to stay healthy, and that is why they need to go out and get Breece Hall. This offense is good. Justin Herbert is good, but he needs some help. And if you bring someone who can run the ball, that takes pressure off of Herbert. This team is dealing with injuries everywhere. The offensive line is banged up. The receivers are banged up. The running backs are banged up. So if there is any way for you to get Justin Herbert some help and you're the Chargers, I think you absolutely have to do it. And Breece Hall would slot right in there, and I think he would be successful in that offense.
Right, and as you mentioned, too, Jim Harbaugh loves a running back, loves the running game, and they're depleted at that position. Emory, though, I know you're more keen on the Cardinals as a fit. They've also got injury issues at the position. They've lost James Conner for the season, Trey Benson also on IR. So what do you like about Arizona for Breece Hall?
For me, I think it's the ideal fit for a game-breaking back like Breece Hall, because when you look at James Conner, he's 30 years old right now, and he's going to be coming off of an injury, so it gives you a chance to get younger, more explosive, more dynamic, and he fits right into what they've built in terms of a young nucleus at over there on offense. You talk about Marvin Harrison Jr., Mike Wilson, who's a fantastic receiver, Trey McBride at tight end. Now you add a game breaker in the backfield and Breece Hall. Now that offense is cooking with gas, and whatever iteration you get of Kyler Murray, this is something that he really hasn't had since he's been the starting quarterback over there, a game breaker at tailback. He had some bit of that with Kenyon Drake. He just got back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons with James Conner, but he didn't have this guy that is like a reincarnated version of Curtis Martin in the backfield with Breece Hall. So I love this fit for Arizona. I love it for Breece Hall. And for the Jets, you get him out of the AFC. I would not trade this guy to any one of these teams in the AFC. Ship him over to Siberia, which is Arizona. Let him go rock out over there, but stay far away from New York City as possible.
I mean, that's a fair point, but also, I mean, the Jets are kind of 0-7, so I don't know if that is the biggest point of competition there. But Breech, I mean, Emory does make a good point. What do you make of the Cardinals fit?
Yeah, if you're the Arizona Cardinals, you're 2-5, but you're literally about 6 plays away from being 7-0, which sounds absolutely crazy. But we are talking about a team that has lost all 5 games by 4 points or less. So this is this is where you pull the trigger or you don't. You've got to decide: are we going to be buyers or sellers at the trade deadline? I think they have played well enough that they can say, let's bring someone in, let's make this one final move. Because James Conner, he's not coming back. Maybe you get Trey Benson back, but he's banged up, and he wouldn't be back on the field until November. So you do have this huge problem, this huge gaping hole at running back, and bringing in Breece Hall is an immediate upgrade over anything the Cardinals currently have right now. Once you get that game-breaking type running back, and a big thing with him is that he can also help you as a pass catcher out of the backfield. Someone like that, giving that type of help to Kyler Murray certainly would improve that offense. So the question is, if you're the Cardinals, would you be willing to make a trade like that at 2-5? I think you could, just because you were so close in so many of your losses so far this year. Maybe you could turn the corner if you added someone like Hall.
All right, adding someone like Hall would elevate a lot of squads, including the Steelers, who are also on this list on CBSSports.com. When you look at the way the Steelers have been playing, they've been passing a little bit more than they were last season. We know they love to run the ball. Breech, how do you see Hall fitting in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I think that Breece Hall absolutely could fit in with the Steelers. You look at what Pittsburgh did during the offseason. They said, we had our workhorse, Najee Harris. Well, we don't want you anymore. We're going to send you away. You can leave. And we're going to make Jaylen Warren be our bell cow. And he never really had been in a situation where he was going to be getting the ball a lot. He's good in small doses. And I think the Steelers have kind of figured that out. And yes, they did draft Caleb Johnson. I don't think he's quite lived up to what they were hoping he would be. And then also signed Kenneth Gainwell. And he was just kind of there, not necessarily to take snaps away from Jaylen Warren. So it's just kind of, at this point in the season, you know what you have, and you probably feel like you could upgrade. And I think that Breece Hall gives you kind of that counter punch that Jaylen Warren doesn't give you. And you put him in a backfield with Aaron Rodgers, who they're very familiar because they were together last season. I think that would be a solid addition for the Steelers.
I think this would make the Steelers a favorite in the AFC North when you think about it. When you look at what they have at wide receiver with DK Metcalf, all 17 of their very good tight ends, they're finally starting to utilize all 19 of those guys out there in the passing game. And when you look at what Breece Hall is, essentially he's a combination of what they have in Caleb Johnson and also Kenneth Gainwell with a little bit of that Jaylen Warren, because he's a combination of all three, because he's explosive. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He has great vision, good footwork, and he's a home run threat. So it really balances out the offense. That's one thing you need right now, offensively speaking. Think about what the Colts are doing with Jonathan Taylor and how that opens up everything for all the perimeter players that they have. It could do the same thing when you add a Breece Hall to this Pittsburgh Steelers offense, and he is very sound in pass protection, which is big for Aaron Rodgers. We know he loves that, but this is a great fit for them. But if you're the Jets, why would you do it?
Right, exactly. Why would you do it? And there's a lot of questions about where Breece Hall could end up, but also how much, right? Considering Hall is not under contract past this season, what does the trade compensation look like here? And for a little context, San Francisco sent a 6th rounder to Washington for Brian Robinson. Philly sent a 5th and a 6th to Jacksonville for Dink Bigsby. Now, these were both before the start of the season, though. So, Breech, when you consider that and you see, the circumstance we're in midway through the season, what do you expect the Jets' asking price to be for Breece Hall?
I would say it just depends on who they're talking to, because if you're talking to a team that's absolutely desperate at running back, maybe you say, hey, can you give us a 3rd rounder? And that team says, how about a 4th rounder? But I do feel like the Jets could maybe get a 4th round pick for Breece Hall. 5th round pick would probably be very, very realistic if Tank Bigsby is getting a 5th and a 6th round pick. So I would say 3rd or 4th round range, probably 4th round, but it is going to depend on who needs them, where that player is going, and what kind of draft capital the team that is looking to acquire Breece Hall has. But the Jets can absolutely get something, and they should not be giving him away for free, because this is part of the rebuild that they're going to need to start when they should, with the fire sale they should have now that they're 0-7.
You know what's fascinating about this? When you look at that graphic, and with all due respect to Tank Bigsby and also Brian Robinson, but we're talking about Breece Hall here. He is not in that class. So for me, if I'm the Jets, I'm looking at, okay, it depends on who, like Breece said, it depends on who's asking. If it's the Cardinals, okay, I'll say a 3. Okay, we'll give you that for a 3. But if you're talking about Pittsburgh or, one of these, the Chargers, nah, I look at it now. Y'all look like y'all got it. Y'all could afford 2 first-round picks, right? I'm not giving them to y'all for nothing, for peanuts. I'm not helping y'all out. I'm helping out the Cardinals. So I would say a 3rd in all seriousness. That's, I think, the market for him. But he is in a different class when we're talking about tailback. So that's why Bigsby and Robinson got that 6th-round compensation. But Breece, 3rd at least. Falk got a 2nd. And this is Marshall Falk we're talking about. So I would say Breece Hall be right underneath that. Give him a 3rd.
Wow, okay. Almost 8 weeks into the season, Emory's like, the price is going up. Hey, CBS Sports NFL insider Jonathan Jones says that one source has said the team has been, quote, stubborn with their asking prices. We'll see how it all unfolds. The NFL trade deadline is approaching on November 4th. John Breech, Emory Hunt, thanks so much for the insight. So we take a look at the Week 8 slate of games on CBS. We got the Bears visiting the Ravens, the potential return of Lamar Jackson, and then Bo Nix and the Broncos hosting the Cowboys. Denver has had some stunning fourth-quarter comebacks against 2 other NFC East teams this season. Will we see it again on Sunday? Catch all the action on CBS.